Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build out a full chord progression and add a melody on top of that. Let's go. All right, we'll mess with the BPM later. We're just at 140 for this. I got a piano loaded up. It's running into just a little bit of reverb. For whatever reason, it just helps with my creativity as far as like creating chord progressions and melodies. So the chord progression I want to show you today is going to be in a minor scale. Let's actually go ahead and start this off in F sharp. So we're going to be in F sharp minor for this, and the chord progression we're going to build out is a 6-5-1-3 chord progression. So the first thing we got to do is figure out what a 6-5-1-3 chord progression even means. These are scale degrees. So all that means is if we're in F sharp minor, we see the highlighting right here. It's all these white notes here, right? So F sharp right here is the 1 of the scale. This is the first note of the F sharp minor scale. Then we have the 2 right here, G sharp. The 3 is A, 4 B, 5, 6, 7, back to the 1. So we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if I tell you that I want to build out a 6-5-1-3 chord progression, you can take that I just want to build out something on the 6, the 5, the 1, and the 3. So let's start off with the 6, which is going to be over here. So we'll place this down. The 6th note of this scale is going to be D. Then we're going to drop down to the 5. Then we drop down to the 1 of the scale, which is F sharp. So over here. And then we go up to the 3, which is A. So we place one here. So this is a 6-5-1-3 chord progression in F sharp minor. So now that we know that, all we're going to do is build out chords with this. So let's build out this first chord. I'm going to skip this note right here in the scale and place one here. Then I'm going to skip this note right here and place another one. This is a D major triad chord. To make this simple, if you see, we have 3 spacings here and 2 spacings here. So from the root, 3rd, and 5th with these spacings here gives us a major chord. So this is the D major chord. I'm gonna actually make this a 7th chord, so I need to add one more note. It's gonna be a repeat spacing of 3, but just to double check, let's skip this note right here and place, and then again, we get that 3. So 3, 2, 3. So this is a D major 7th. Let's go over here to the C sharp and see what it is. So let's start at C sharp, skip a note, place, skip one note, place. They aren't always going to be 3-2-3 or 2-3-2. Sometimes you have 2 spacings in between like this, or sometimes you have 3 spacings in between each ones. And this is going to give us a diminished chord. This is going to be an augmented chord. But for the sake of this tutorial, I specifically chose a 6-5-1-3 and a minor scale because we're not going to be dealing with those. We're only dealing with major and minor chords just to make it a little bit easier. So let's skip one more note, place here. This gives us the C sharp minor. So let's do that with both these again. So skip, place, skip, place, skip, place. This is going to be another minor chord, 3, 2, 3. Then over here, skip, place, skip, place, skip, place. We look at this, we can see it's major, 3, 2, and then 3. So now we have this chord progression. We are going to get into building melodies on this. Oh, before we continue, let's actually hear what this chord progression sounds like. It's already like a nice soulful chord progression, but we're going to add so much more to this. So let's go ahead and advance this. Let's take our root notes, these bottom notes right here, select them all, Control Shift, and then Control down arrow. So now what I want to do is drop this whole thing down 1 octave. So Control down arrow. And now I'm going to show you the difference in voicings. So let's take this chord, for example, really quick. Let's take these 2 notes right here and Control up arrow. That brought them up an octave. This is still the same chord right here, even with these up or down. It's just these are played in a different octave, and this is a different voicing to play the same chord. So let's hear before and after. So this is the original voicing that we had. Same chord, we're getting a different feeling from it. We're playing a different voicing. This is how you can start to advance your chord progressions. And then from there, we're going to get into building the melody. But I want this to really be a beginner's guide to cover both chord progressions and melodies. So at the end of it, you have an idea of how to build out an entire melody and chord progression. So let's bring this back and let's actually figure out the notes that we want to change the voicing for. So we have root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th. That's why this is a 7th chord. I'm going to take the 3rd right here, Control up. Now I want to start changing some of the notes in these chords so that we don't have so much spacing here and get some of these to kind of be closer together. So again, I'm going to take the 3rd of this, root, 3rd, 5th, 7th. Right here, I'm going to take the 3rd. I'm going to go up 1 octave there. Now we don't have so much spacing and some of these notes are a little bit closer together. Over here, there's a whole bunch of spacing. So this is going to be a dramatic change. Watch, let me show you. I don't like how that sounds, so I want to bring this up. But I don't just want to go like this, which I could do. I want to keep some of these notes lower. So I'm going to take the third, but this time I'm also going to take the fifth of the chord, control up arrow. And then on this last one, I'm going to just take the third again. So root, third, fifth, seventh. Let's take the third right here, up one octave. So same chord progression, but different voicings, and it's going to sound completely different, but we are playing the same chords. Let's hear it. There's so much emotion right there. It's just so much more soulful with these voicings, because now our chord voicing is very wide, but it's still very close together. And this is all in its basic velocity. The best thing to do would honestly be to replay this on the MIDI so that you can have that realistic velocity and timing. But right now I want to get into the start of kind of creating a little bit of melody to this. So I'm going to show you how we can move the rhythm of these chords around to start the initial melody, and then we're going to build the top line melody to this so we can have a full chord progression and melody. Let's go. All right, so since we have the root note right here duplicated down here, see if I could take this first note right here and move it over about 2 spaces maybe to get some rhythm going. And then I'm going to mess with the third right here and the fifth and kind of move them in. I'm going to keep the very top note and very low note playing together at the beginning, but really move all these in. I'm going to just do trial and error to kind of find like a nice rhythm. There's so many different types of rhythms you could do. So just mess around with like these first 3 notes of the chord and find something cool. So let's go ahead and try that. I don't want to layer something with this note right here. I think the 9th of the chord would sound good. So to kind of show you what I'm talking about, we had the root, third, fifth, 7th, and then the 9th would have been E. So I'm going to just go ahead and add an E on top, which is going to be right here. Then just adding that in. And then watch, if we hit Alt R, again, this is going to sound way better if we replay it, but just adding a little bit of velocity moves in here, and then taking some of these, control click, Alt, and then to the right or left on your keyboard. That already sounds better. This is a good way to get ideas for melodies if maybe you haven't really built out too many melodies or you're just starting out. If you build out a chord progression, move some of the notes around in the chord progression, you'll start to kind of hear melodies and get ideas. And then from there, you can add melodies to the top of this chord progression. And that's just one easy way to start than just completely starting from scratch, trying to figure out something to do for the melody. So I could repeat the same thing and just move it in with these notes, but I don't want that same repetition. I kind of want this one to be a little bit simpler. So maybe there's something we could do with this 7th. And don't forget that this one was brought up an octave. So root, third, fifth, and 7th. But you are going to see that up there. So you might be a little confused when I'm referring to this as a 7th. I'm thinking maybe we could just kind of chop it. So let's see what we could do. Maybe shorter. And then have a repeat somewhere. Let's try to find a rhythm. So over here, I kind of want to just go up 1 note and then back down to B. And we could utilize something else from the chord. So maybe this C sharp right here. And again, let's go over here and randomize this, Alt R. Ooh, hold on. What if we brought these velocities down so these chords like hit really hard? Might be a little too much. Let's see. Want it to be impactful. Ooh. That creates a lot of emotion right there. I like that. And I kind of like having these two right here have a lot of rhythm, and then these just kind of be on time. Again, this would sound way better if we replayed it, but we'll just go ahead and use it as is right now. Before we continue, remember when I said that my next kit was going to be a MIDI kit that was multi-genre and 100% royalty free? I was being serious, and guess what? It's out now. The MIDI suite is now available. It contains 100 royalty-free advanced MIDI chord progressions. I broke it up into 5 different parts: dark trap, pain, R&B, West Coast, and emotional sad chord progressions. This kit contains some of my best work. None of these are throwaways. Drag and drop these MIDIs into your favorite VSTs or one-shots and get to work. Best thing is, these MIDIs are 100% royalty free. Use them in your beats and never have to clear it. The 2 chord progressions from today's video will also be included in this kit. After the video, hit the link in the description and pick up the MIDI suite today. Now I want to get into adding the top line melody to this. I'm going to show you like 2 or 3 different ways that you can kind of get started, especially if you're following along with the 6-5-1-3 chord progression. So let's get into that next. One easy way you can go about creating melodies if you don't have an idea is use notes from the chord. I like to use like the 3rd, 5th, or 7th, depending on what type of chord I'm building. So we're going to utilize the 5th up an octave, which is going to be A. When you're using the 6-5-1-3 chord progression in a minor scale, this always works really well. So we're going to start with the 5th of this first chord, and all I'm going to do is go right down the scale and create this nice descending of notes like this. There it is, and then I'm going to randomize these real quick. So all we did was start with the 5th and literally just go right down the scale like this and find a nice rhythm, and then we're going to repeat this over and watch what this sounds like. This is a super simple way to kind of build a melody. So that's one way you can build a melody on top. Let me just show you what it sounds like when you actually play it on the piano. So we can get something going like that, and that's just by starting on the 5th right here. I did add in like a little variation, so let's kind of replicate what I did. We're just going to go down the scale like this. Then we're going to have this repeat over, and then I had a break right here. I jumped up to C sharp. So let's go right here and then just wait it out. C sharp is going to be held out. We're just going to let it ring out a little bit, and then we're going to jump back into some of these notes. So we go back to F sharp and then G. So same notes again. Let's just find where we want to play some. And then maybe we can do these 2 again, but flip them. So let's do Alt Y like that. And then we could jump right back into the same melody. So that already sounds good. I like how that sounds. So I'm going to show you another technique you can use for building melody by utilizing the 5th of the chord again. So we already know this one is A over here. So let's go ahead and just place this in. And this one's a little bit more simple. We have a lot of notes to choose from in this scale. So we don't just have to use notes that are in the chords that we're playing below. But to make this simple, we are going to do that right now because I'm going to show you ways that you can utilize it. But I'm not going to use too many. The idea of this is to use notes from the chords, but keep my melody close together. What I mean by that is having the melody only moving a few notes like this instead of being like this and then up here and then dropping like way down here. I want to create a nice cohesive melody, not too many notes, but repetitive, so it could be something that you can remember. I'm going to go from A up to C sharp, kind of copy this. So let's go ahead and put C sharp here. And for this, I'm going to keep a lot of space. Just like that. So right over here, I want to have a note play. And one thing you could do is look at the notes that you have into the next chord and utilize one of those. So we have B, G sharp, C sharp. So let's take this B, for example, 1 octave here. And all I'm going to do is actually have it play somewhere before this chord starts, and it's going to lead in nicely. Let's see. And then we build out the rest, but I think another B over here could sound good. See, it's a nice little build in, and then this B is going to drop in right here, so it's going to sound nice. So the 5th right here being G sharp, let's bring that up an octave, 2 octaves. There we go. This will be the starting note of this melody, but maybe we want to go ahead and bring it in a little bit here. For the next note, what I like to do when I have notes that are close together, like this G sharp and A, is utilize those. And the reason I want to utilize these is because it's going to create some tension in this melody. We can go right back to G sharp. to be honest, we could repeat this over just like that, and it's still gonna sound good. Let's try it out. So I actually do like how that sounds. It's repetitive. It's a nice melody. The melody doesn't have to be too crazy, right? It just needs to be something that's catchy and that sounds good, maybe that we can remember. So things we could do to separate this from over here is just take out like this last note and bring this one out like this. Let's say we still wanted a little bit of variation in this part. What we can actually do is take this B here and just drop it down to A, and that'll give us a nice descending feeling in the melody. Still sounds good. One other thing we can do is add a little bit of harmony to this note right here. So let's skip a note right here. Let's place this note here, C sharp. Bring it down a little bit and then move it over. So we'll just hit Control click and then Alt and over like once on the keyboard. Let's hear what this sounds like. And you can do that little harmony trick to any of these notes over here and just find out what sounds good. But that's just kind of one way that you could build out melodies, because there's so many different ways. And that's why I can always make different tutorials on this, is because there's just, I don't know, there's just too many ways to make melodies. Let's do something fun. Let's go ahead and just change this key completely and see what this sounds like. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial and were able to learn something from this. I am going to do more melody tutorials in the future, and I do have a lot already on the channel. As always, appreciate you watching. If you're interested in the MIDI suite with over 100 royalty-free MIDI chord progressions and melodies, there'll be a link to that in the description. Till the next video, peace.